So my name is Morris Beagle, and I am the president of WAFBA, which is We Are for Better Alternatives. Yeah, so we've been going for almost 10 years. We started in 2000 or yeah, 2012 is when we started. Well, it's a new industry, and there's obviously a lot of confusion between hemp and marijuana, and it's been an education process to educate the general public the differences between hemp and marijuana. That one gets you high and one doesn't, and one is really used for all these other things industrial wise, from building materials and paper products and bioplastics and textiles. So as far as food and animal bedding and then the nutraceutical and nutritional side that popped up with CBD, that really wasn't a thing for industrial hemp until it just kind of became a thing. All of a sudden, here's this cannabinoid side of the plant that's not intoxicating. It doesn't get you high, but it's also quite therapeutic and dietary supplements and very good for the immune system and keeping your body balanced and so forth. Well, hemp is a very environmentally friendly agricultural crop, more so than corn or soy or wheat or cotton. Those are more environmentally heavy when it comes to pesticides and herbicides. And a lot of that stuff is monocropped, where you're growing the same stuff over and over in the same soil, and it really depletes the soil. And it's a leading cause of climate change, is the way we manage our industrial agriculture. So hopefully hemp's going to change the direction of agriculture and become a rotational crop where we can increase the biodiversity from an agricultural standpoint and start growing our food more healthy, using less pesticides. We don't need to do GMO as much as we've been doing. It can be grown organically and regeneratively. And then the byproducts from that going into building materials and bioplastics and so forth, it's just a lot more environmentally less impactful to the planet than a lot of materials that we're currently using and have been using for the last 50 to 100 years. So if hemp's grown organically, it can sequester, I believe, 8 to 10 tons of CO2 per acre. Um, and if it's grown conventionally, it's a little bit less. It's like 6 to 8, I believe. And then the materials on the backside can continue to sequester carbon, like hempcrete continues to sequester carbon as in the walls of people's houses. So it's one of these things that no other crop really does that's being utilized like hemp is. So it's a great carbon sequestering crop, which we have to sequester carbon out of the atmosphere because the atmosphere is heating up, and we have to put it back in the soil. So there's going to be a variety of ways to do that. But growing hemp is one of them, as well as moving towards organic and regenerative agriculture. Lots of grazing, no more factory farms with cows and pigs and chickens all. Those are environmentally detrimental compared to open grazing. And there's nothing wrong. The vegans and that side of the world will say, we don't need to eat meat, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, we've been doing this for millions of years. We just have to, it's not the cow, it's the how. And we have to reapproach how we're growing our food and running our lands, because the way we're doing it right now is just a recipe for disaster for our entire civilization. The building industry and construction industry is another driver of climate change. And if we can start utilizing more sustainable materials that continue to sequester carbon, which hemp does, and you can grow them locally and you don't have to ship this all around the world, which a lot of the materials that we build with are shipped all over the world, and there's just a huge carbon footprint. And again, if we can grow these things in local areas and utilize those to build locally, it's just going to reduce our environmental impacts significantly. Well, when it comes to the paper side of things, we're really more of a printer. We're not a manufacturer. We get our paper from different manufacturers. But coming from the music industry, I've done commercial printing for a long time, business cards and flyers and posters. And it's the same thing here. We're doing business cards and flyers and marketing collateral for a variety of companies. A lot of them are hemp companies. A lot of them are cannabis companies. Other ones are people that just want to have a less environmental footprint out there, that are more eco-conscious. So that could be alternative energy companies or organic foods, natural products. This is 100% hemp paper. Most of this stuff right here is all 100% hemp paper. This is a journal from India that I was given that's all 100% handmade. This company right here, Mohawk, is a paper mill out of New York that's been around for probably 100 years. And they just introduced this Mohawk renewal line that's got a hemp line. It's also got a recycled cotton line, a wheat straw line. And then we just ran these things. This is 100% hemp paper. This is a placemat that we did for NOCO Hemp Expo a couple weeks ago. This company right here, Cottrell Paper, is also a New York paper company that's been around for 95 years, and they're now producing 100% hemp paper, which is exciting because the stuff that we normally use, this is 25% hemp and 75% post-consumer recycled. And this is our go-to for printing that we've been doing for the last 7 years. This paper comes from a company called Greenfield Paper Company out of San Diego that's been making hemp paper since the 90s. And they're really one of the main paper makers on the planet. And one of the problems we have is a lack of supply, and that the material itself, hemp fiber that you make the pulp out of, is probably 6 times the cost of what wood pulp is. So you can go get wood pulp for 500 to 600 bucks a ton, whereas hemp pulp at this point is more like between $3,000 and $4,000 a ton. So the cost to make it is significantly higher. And that's why the blending factor, doing a post-consumer recycled and a hemp blend, where you're 25% hemp of that, that's an expensive pulp compared to the post-consumer pulp, which is more 800 to 900 bucks a ton. It makes it a little bit more affordable. But one of the problems we face right now is the cost of the materials. And that will continue to go down as we grow more hemp and we get more fiber processing technology here in North America, to make it competitive. Unfortunately, we've been prohibited from growing this crop for 80 years up until recently, and we're kind of way behind the 8 ball. And you have these other industries that are out there that have been subsidized by the government for 100 years, like petroleum and fossil fuels, the timber industry. And there's all this technology that's been developed, again, over the course of the last 100 years. It's been subsidized by the government, that they've got a huge head start on us. And how do we kind of flip that where we can become more competitive and we can offset some of the environmental damage that these industries have done over the course of the last 100 years? Right now, we're growing less than 1 million acres of hemp on the entire planet. And when you look at how, there's 90 million acres of corn or soy, and there's just significantly more material out there from some of these other crops, cotton, and the technology to process it's been commoditized, and that hasn't happened yet with hemp, but it's going to happen, and it's going to take another 3 to 5 to 10 years to get there. But you'll see the price go down as we're growing more material and it gets processed more efficiently, and it'll be a commodity like any other crop, just like it should be. Well, if you're interested in hemp, vote with your dollars. That's the best way to support the hemp industry is buying hemp products as a consumer.